Alright, welcome back everyone. Today we're gonna play some brand new games, still on the Reiju, and having quite a lot of fun with this deck. But today we're gonna go up against a Moria. They play the Sindri, and then it's our turn. We played a Reiju straight away and putting off the effect from hand, bring one down back, and then straight away getting the effect. Getting the 5-cost Reiju and also our leader ability. So we have the hand advantage and looking for options as what we can play. So we have a pretty decent opening hand. We had like a few Vinsmoke minis. So we had the first one, Vinsmoke Reiju, and then the next one we have like Ichiji for options, and if they have like something very sticky we can use Niji, but highly unlikely because this deck kind of like the Gecko Moria deck plays a lot of on-play effects, so it might be beneficial to them if we were to bounce their guys. So yeah, we managed to draw into our stage from the Reiju as well, so we can start filtering, get the deck going. We also countered out with the Yonji there. So yeah, so basically providing an option to use Yonji since it's already in the discard pile. Yep, so we just apply some pressure with Reiju, 5k to lead. They take 6k to lead. Here I opted for the 6k instead of 7 because I kind of want him to force a 2k out from his hand, and also there's an option to use Blast Breath, although it's highly unlikely that we would be able to use it. And yeah, the annoying thing about black is of course like their ability to just remove things, reducing cost and calling units to just absolutely destroy our characters, which they have. They play into an Absalom, removing our Reiju. Now we are stuck with an empty board. So now we are at 5 Dawn, looking for some options. We dig through our deck, discarding Ichiji, drew into another Ichiji. So now here we should just apply some pressure with 6k, attach 1 Dawn to our leader, forcing out 2k, and then rushing in with Ichiji. Well, ideally we want to kind of get rid of their attacking bodies, but having a 7k body is pretty good as well. So yeah, we drew into the GERMA 6/6 Searcher, which could fish out some options that we might need depending on what we are looking for. But the hand is looking pretty decent. We are able to block whatever incoming attack that might be due. So yeah, and they play an Ice Age and into a Lucci, which is no surprise. They managed to minus 5 cost the Ichiji, which brings it down to 2, which is the maximum cost that Lucci can remove. 1 2 cost and 1 1 cost. They attack us for 6k. We counter out with Miss Doublefinger, and another 6k. We counter out with Reiju and Niji? Yeah, Niji. Okay, so we survived that turn. So now we do have a target for Ichiji, right? But first things first, let's filter through the deck. This one was a pretty unfortunate draw. We had a stage and 2 pretty good options. One 2k counter being Kaya and the other one being Charlotte Pudding, to potentially disrupt our hand, although our opponent's hand, although our opponent's hand is not the biggest. So yeah, here I played Reiju to get the card advantage. The order here matters. If we had more than 5, then we won't be able to get Reiju's secondary effect, which is to draw 2 cards. Yep, so we managed to pressure them, putting in 5k into their minus power Absalom. So the Absalom was at 3k. In order to defend that, they did a 3k counter, so it's not very worth it for them. Either way, actually, it will be beneficial for us. If they were to defend it, they'll have to spend at least 2 cards. If they don't, we get rid of an attacker. So now they still have the Lucci. Unfortunately, it's still a 6k, and attaching 1 Dawn, it becomes a 7k body, which is pretty hard, pretty annoying to block. And then here comes another 7k. This one we have to block. We have to defend rather. So they attach 8k actually. So we'll counter out of that with Kaya Niji and both Nijis, and they play a Sabo. Okay, so I was kind of glad when they did this because it signals that Sabo is a more defensive kind of play. So yeah, we can have like a breather since we are only at 1 life and most of our hands, other than the Blast Breath, is non-counters. So yeah, I was swearing for a little bit. So here, I was just thinking what's the most efficient way to go about doing things. Yeah, I was thinking our outs, since we are lack of counters, we need more counters. So Sora was pretty good draw. Or I was thinking more of the Vinsmoke guys. Just to have like options to deal with their spot. But in the end, I thought counters were more valuable to defend against the upcoming attack. So yeah, just like that we have basically converted a 1 cost event into a 2k counter. Hindsight might not be the best, but at the same time we can't really do much. Like if we deploy Ichiji, there's nothing really to bounce. Wouldn't want to bounce the Ruchi. And then we can't destroy as well because of Sabo's effect. So here I opted to just apply some pressure. I was hoping he would miss out on him having a Sabo blocker. Oopsie, the notification. Yeah, miss out on him having a Sabo blocker and not use it, but he does use it, which is fine. So yep, applying more pressure with a 7k body, forcing at least 2 cards from his hand. Yep, which they do, counter all of it. And now we play Ichiji. To get the effect and bouncing Lucci back to hand. So although I'm actually it's not ideal because they have access to Lucci's effect, right, to destroy 2 of our guys again. But we needed to relieve some pressure from our side because they have 2 bodies. Sabo is more defensive, yes, but the potential, it still carries the potential of having an extra attack. And Sabo is a pretty decent attacker as well. So us being at 1 life, we kind of need to take the precaution, even though it wouldn't be ideal. So yeah, plus Niji is also a pretty decent body at 6k. Now they attack us for 7k. We do have some counters in hand. So we counter out of it with Sora and Yonji. I wasn't too sure about using the Yonji here because it just means that we potentially may not be able to use the 5 cost Yonji, the blocker, when the time comes, as we just discard the mini Yonji. But yeah, so they call out Perona and then brand new. Yep, Perona to discard 1 card from our hand, which we are okay with since Ichiji doesn't have a counter on it anyway. So yeah, here we have some options. We can play the Reiju and gas our hand up with 2 more cards. But yeah, I think I decide to cycle with the stage, carry off Sora, carry off Judge, and then we did manage to find both Reiju and Ichiji. I opted for the Ichiji for the rush, and we do that, activating the Ichiji secondary effect of minus 2k, and here we go, right? We managed to get to the Sabo, so it's not as decent a blocker as it was. So they're at 2 life. We start to apply pressure, just basically forcing as many cards from their hand as possible. And with 3 more Dawn, I was intending to leave 2 up for Blast Breath, which effectively leaves 1 Dawn to be attached. So this means we can just have 1 5k attacks and 3 7k attacks, which seemed like a pretty good idea. So yeah, here's the first 7k, the opponent needs at least like 2 cards to get out of this. Yep, and he counters out. And 2 2Ks, which is good news for us. So, yep, he takes this one. And then we just swing again, which I believe he blocks with Sabo. Yep. So yeah. While he still has a pretty decent attacking force, he kind of relieves of some pressure because I believe if he distributes his dons equally, we can block at least 2 attacks with the blast breaths alone. And then we could just take the damage from the Moria. That it costs Gecko Moria, which by itself is a 9k. So yeah, we use the first blast breath, and then they attach all the don to Sindri. Okay, not all, excuse me. Oh yeah, all for 6k, and we use our second blast breath to resolve that, and then they swing for 9k, which we can just comfortably take. Oh, okay, so that was the first game. The 9 cost Moria we could definitely take, and then in our next turn we could definitely swing at him with all our guys. With we have on board 2 7k bodies, 1 Ichiji with 6k, and 1 Reiju 5k, and our leader as well. So that's 4 attacks to his 0 life, and his hand size wasn't the biggest. Yeah, at 4 his hand size wasn't the biggest, so it's highly unlikely that he can block. I mean, like, even if everything in his hand was 2Ks, which it wasn't, yeah, he still won't be able to block everything. So yeah, so that was the first game, and moving on to the next game. It is going to be against Yellow-Green Yamato. So here we have an opening hand. It's pretty decent, but I kind of need like some outlets to start cycling, start fetching things that we can cheat out using their effects. So yeah, here's our first cheating out, getting out of the stage to get Reiju, so which was pretty good top 3 cards. So we cycle. So yeah, I'm not too sure why I didn't pick the Reiju, since it was a guaranteed play on the next turn, but I guess, oh yeah, okay, so I guess the Niji was like the option that I chose, just in case he plays like something threatening for me to bounce. But yeah, he threatens with an 8k, and it's a double attack from the Yamato's effect. Card attacks, right? So we take 2 damage here. Unfortunately, we couldn't block even if we wanted to. Oh yeah, now, oh okay, so it turns out it was gonna be pretty difficult to get value from Reiju, because we would be taking 2 damage, so 2 more cards, and we won't be at 5 or less cards, so we wouldn't be drawing additional cards with Reiju. So I guess Ichiji in hindsight was like, Niji in hindsight was a better play, but even so, it's still pretty awkward, right, with the Dawn management. Now with Ichiji, it's exactly 4 Dawn, but unfortunately we don't have the 7 cost for us to cheat out. Now I'm just contemplating on what to call out. So attach 1 Dawn, 6k to leader, which they can just comfortably counter out for 2k, and then now we can just like summon Ichiji and then cheat out the 5 cost without activating the secondary effect. But here the thought process was a 6k body is better than nothing, and we kind of don't want to waste the turn, right? Even though the Dawn wasn't as efficiently used as we could, this is still a pretty decent option. So yeah, now we just have to block every single attack from the leader, which we do, counter out with Reiju and Niji, and then they play another body. So now it's our turn. We can finally get the reduce effect, refreshing our hand with additional 3, including our leader's effect. Yeah, so they play Kokonojo. Pretty annoying, because it's exactly at 4, but I don't have any Nijis to basically cheat out the 5 cost to bounce it. It would have been perfect if I had one. Yeah, I'm kind of looking for it for future turns, but Ichiji wasn't a bad draw either, and I decided to look for Niji, which we do get, but now we don't have enough dawns to play. So yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. Niji would have been like the most ideal Vinsmoke sibling to use, and we can just bounce Kikunojo to just basically relieve of pressure of an attacking 6k body for another turn. But yeah, so now we just attack with the leader for 5, which they counter for 1k, and yep, they do counter, and then we attach for 7k, which I believe they take. Yep, and unfortunately it's another Kikunojo. So now we have to deal with 3 attackers out of sudden. But okay, we can pull through. We have a fat hand. We are okay with discarding our dudes, but yeah, unfortunately it's many minis that we need to cheat out bigger dudes. But yeah, they play to give their leader banish, so we absolutely need to block this. If not, we wouldn't be able to get any cards in hand from the attacks. Yep, they attack our Niji for 8k, meaning we need to counter out with 3k, and we can't afford it right now. So they attack us for 10k, which was very very heavy. Took me so many cards. The heart was in pain for doing this. So I was considering my options here. If we discard Niji, if we don't discard Niji, we could bounce the Kikunojo potentially, and then play another Reiju, the 2-cost Reiju. But then if we discard Ichiji, then we'll eliminate the option to have a 7k body, as well as minusing 2k to one of the attackers. Yeah, so that was the thought process. I decided to go with Ichiji because it kind of like eliminates it. 7k body is more pressure as compared to 6, so that was the whole thought process. Now we're left with 4 done. Yep, and we just execute our plan, playing Ichiji, the 7 cost from our hand, minus 2k from the Kikunojo, and we attack. They need the 2k counter, which they do have in hand. We attack once more, which they would need a 2k counter, which they do have. And we attack once more time, and they take. So leaving them at 3, potentially 3 attackers still. But one good news is that the leader has double attack, but we're at 1 life. So which means the leader is not as threatening, or they won't get as much value as when we would be taking 2. So now they pump to attack us for 8k, which is a little awkward, but we can still manage to block with 2 2k counters. And now I think they were debating on whether or not they go for game or go for the characters or the bodies. So they decided to go for bodies, and this one kind of like shocked me. They decided to go for Ichiji here, right? No, whoops. They go for face, and we take. Oh, okay, my bad. The sequence was a bit foggy. So we survive for another turn. We play Ichiji to get minus 2k for the Kikunojo, and we swing 5k. Slight misplay here. Should have swing with Reiju first. I mean the 5 cost body before the leader. Swing 5k. Swing another 5. Just to eliminate the number of attackers. And then we swing for 7. Nope, before that we look up for Sora. Get another 2k counter in hand. But at this point, I was thinking our out would be a Yonji. Since they only have one attacker, a blocker would solve that problem quite easily. Yep, so we pressure them with 7k. Which looking back might be a mistake because their hand size is at 3 currently. Attacking them, allowing them to take damage or cuts or life basically is essentially giving them more options. So I was kind of glad that they counter out of it. And I decided to end turn. So again, playing to our outs, limiting the options. And actually, if they were to pump in all the dawns and then swing us at 15, we wouldn't be able to defend. But they decided to split and playing it safe. So now they attack for 10, which we are able to defend with Blast Breath and 1 2k counter, which we do have in hand. And if they actually attack us with Ace, that would have been game. So yeah, I saw the Yonji. I was really happy because from my memory, we saw a Yonji. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to me, we saw that Yonji that was being sent to the deck, not to the trash. So we don't have the 5 cost Yonji for us to use as blocker. So while I was happy, we couldn't get the effect off. And unfortunately, once I sent the Dawn back, the 2 cost Yonji has to be sent to the trash. So there was no like, oh, cancel and then like get the Dawn back. And so here we tried cycling, but at this point the misplay was a bit too much for me to recover from. Instead, I should have cycled, and then which we would have seen a 2 cost Reiju, which we could play and get more cards to defend. But here, still playing to my outs, pretty desperate for counters. I was thinking, since we have a Judge and Judge has no counter at all, it might be worth to play the Kaya, draw 2 and discard 2, one of them being the Judge, to basically have more options in terms of defending. But unfortunately, we broke even lah basically. It wasn't really the best choice, and here I did attack, which kind of like dug our grave even deeper because they keep getting triggers, keep getting cards into their hand, and to rub salt into the wound, another trigger that can be played straight into the field. Yep, being Shallot Cracker. But at this point I was just, if I wasn't gonna go out, I was gonna go out swinging. So that's the GG's from me. And yep, at this point we only have 4k counter in our hand. There's no point blocking, to be honest. And yeah, they're just pumping up their ace, attaching dawns. Oh no, they're resting our dudes. Yep, and attaching all the dawns and swinging for victory for 19k. And we lost that one, unfortunately. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. There were a few turns there that kind of like made me have hope that we could claw out a comeback. But unfortunately, that victory wasn't on our side. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye.